And now we're going to look at the environmentalism and the consumer movement. The main idea is that in the 1960s and 1970s, it saw the beginning of environmentalism and the consumer movement. Our learning objectives are to analyze the arguments for and against environmentalism and to summarize the history of the consumer movement. So we start by looking at Rachel Carson. She was a marine biologist, and she wrote a book called Silent Spring, in which she warned of the increasing risk by the use of pesticides that were designed to kill insects. She said they were killing birds and fish as well. The environmental issues of the 1960s included logging in the Northwest, smog, air pollution from factories and cars in the cities, pollution and garbage in Lake Erie, and an oil spill off the California coast. On April 22, 1970, we had the first Earth Day. That was held to focus on environmental problems in the United States. And it led to the formation of other groups like the Sierra Club and the Audubon Society. We also saw the creation of the EPA in 1970 when President Nixon signed the Environmental Protection Policy Act, creating the EPA. It took on the job of setting and enforcing pollution standards. The Clean Air Act of 1970 established emission standards for automobiles and factories. Critics, though, claim that environmental regulations are harmful to business and the economy. The Clean Water Act of 1972 is the primary federal law regulating water pollution. The Endangered Species Act of 1973 was designed to protect critically imperiled species from extinction as a consequence of economic growth and development untempered by adequate concern and conservation. Love Canal. This is a neighborhood in Niagara Falls, New York, where 21,000 tons of toxic waste that had been buried beneath the neighborhood by a chemical company. Now, of course, when they sold this area, they didn't really intend that homes would be built on it, but ultimately that's what happened. Eventually, the government relocated more than 800 families and reimbursed them for their homes. 3 Mile Island. Nuclear energy was debated because supporters argued that it was cleaner than fossil fuels like coal and oil, but critics worried about the dangers of an accidental radiation release. On March 28, 1979, one of the reactors at the 3 Mile Island nuclear facility overheated, causing low levels of radiation to escape. The incident added to the fears of radiation, even though the plant was determined to be safe. The consumer movement. Consumers demanded safer products and accurate information during the 1960s and 1970s. Ralph Nader became the leader of the consumer protection movement. Nader first criticized the automobile industry in an article that he wrote in 1959 called "The Safe Car That You Can't Buy." Nader's efforts resulted in the passage of the National Traffic and Motor Safety Act in 1966. Nader became a leader in the push to protect the public from dangerous toys, flammable fabrics, and other hazardous consumer goods.